Welcome everyone. I'm Laura Shu, author of the Lightroom blog and Lightroom workshops on video at laurashu.com. In this video, I'll discuss the lens bug that was introduced in Lightroom 6.5 and affects photos shot with Nikon cameras. And then I'll show you how to recover the missing lens information now that 6.5.1 has been released. Now, if you have a Nikon camera, chances are that all photos imported after you updated to 6.5 are missing lens information. You'll see that in a couple different ways. First though, let me show you some photos that do not have this issue. I imported these before 6.5 and they're not even shot with a Nikon camera. Over here in the metadata panel, I've got the drop down set to default. If I scroll down, you'll see that we have a lens field. It shows what lens this photo was shot with. Now let's go to a folder of photos that is affected. These were imported using 6.5 and were shot with a Nikon camera. With a photo selected, you see that there is no lens field. In addition, while I'm in grid view, if I go up to metadata here in the library filter bar, which allows us to search for particular subsets of photos, we'll see the issue as well. In any one of these three columns, we'll use the lens field. If you don't see lens in any of the columns, in any one of them, click on the drop down and choose lens. So all 14 photos have unknown lens. Now that you see the symptoms of this issue, let's take a look at how to recover the lens information. First, you need to update to 6.5.1. You can either go to Help and then down to Updates to have Lightroom check for the update, or if you're a Creative Cloud subscriber, you can open up your Creative Cloud application, go to the Apps tab, and you should see Lightroom listed in the Updates section. Click on Update. If you're watching this video on the day that 6.5.1 was released and you don't see the update yet, then you'll find direct download links in my blog post. So I have 6.5.1 installed here. So let's recover the information. The first step is to select all of the photos that have been affected. Again, these would have been any photos imported after you installed 6.5. You can select multiple folders by clicking on the first, then holding the Shift key down and clicking on the last. Or if they're not next to each other, you can click on the first, then hold the Control key on PC or Command key on Mac down to click on additional ones. If you're not sure which folders you imported after 6.5, there's no penalty for selecting some that you imported previous to that. It just means that this process is going to take a little bit longer. I could even select my entire Pictures folder here. I'll just go with this one folder though. Next, go to Grid View, G for Grid, and click on Metadata, and do select Lens in one of these three columns by clicking on the drop down. And click on Unknown Lens so you're just seeing photos that don't have lens information. Make sure the other columns are set to All. Next, you'll select all of the photos. You can go up to Edit, select All, or you can do Control or Command A. Now that they're selected, our goal is going to be to read that lens information from the files. It's not in the Lightroom catalog, but it's still sitting out in the raw files, so we can read that information. But if we just do the read right away, we're going to wipe out any editing work that we've done. So we'll write the editing work to the files and then read all of the information. For those of you who are curious, this involves writing to and then reading from XMP. But I don't feel that we need to get bogged down into an explanation of XMP to get this done. With the photo selected to write the information, go up to Metadata, Save Metadata to Files. You see up in the status bar that that just happened. Once it's completed, now we'll read the information. Go to Metadata, Read Metadata from Files. Because we just wrote out our editing work, it's okay for this process to happen. Click on Read. Most of the photos disappeared from the grid here because I'm still looking at just photos with unknown lens. But notice now that for this folder, I have 6 photos with a 12 to 24 lens, 2 with 17 to 55, and with one of these selected, I now see the lens field here in the metadata panel. So we've recovered from it. Now there's still one that has unknown lens, and that's because it's a virtual copy. We can't write to or read from virtual copies. So if you want to recover lens information on virtual copies, it will take an additional step. First, I want to turn off this filter so that I'm back to seeing all my photos. To do that, here in the lens column, I'm going to go back to all to see photos with any lens or all lenses. Next, I'll click on None to close the filter. So I have one virtual copy that's affected here. There are a couple ways to get that lens information onto the virtual copy. Here's one way. You can read about both in my blog post. What you'll do is you'll make a new virtual copy of the master, which has been fixed, and then you'll copy your develop settings from the old virtual copy that hasn't been fixed. So I'll right-click in the master and choose Create Virtual Copy. Next, we want to copy the settings, the develop settings, from this one over to the one that has the lens information. So I'll right-click in the edited one and go to Develop Settings, Copy Settings. I'll choose Check All to copy all the settings. Click on Copy, and then on the one that has the lens information now, I'll right-click in it, go to Develop Settings, and choose Paste Settings. Finally, I'll delete the virtual copy that's missing the lens information by hitting the Delete key on my keyboard and choosing Remove. And now we've got our master that has lens information and our virtual copy that has lens information. Of course, if you have a lot of virtual copies, this is going to take a while to do them one by one. So that's how to fix this issue. The last thing I want to do is show you that we've created some little XMP files out on your hard drive. They're not important, but I want you to know what they are in case you come across them. I want to jump out to Windows Explorer or Mac Finder and look at this folder. So I'll right-click on it and choose Show in Finder or Show in Explorer. In addition to my raw files, I now have little XMP files as well. This is where we wrote out the Lightroom edits and then read all of the metadata from, including the edits and the lens information. If you don't normally work with XMP files, after you complete this lens information process, you can delete these XMP files. However, you don't have to delete them. They're really small files. They're not taking up hardly any space on your hard drive. I personally would just leave them here and forget about them. Okay, that's it for recovering lens information from the Lightroom 6.5 bug. If this video has been helpful, please show your support by clicking on the subscribe button here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Next, if you're on YouTube, go to laurashu.com and check out all of the free articles and tutorials, as well as my comprehensive Lightroom workshops on video. I'm Laura Shu.